Hi, I'm Oliver Laxe. I'm the filmmaker of Sirāt. And we are about to talk about my movie at the Filmmaker Toolkit podcast.
I think maybe the place I want to start is, tell me about the Free Movement Party. This is an American who doesn't go to raves.
I mean, everything starts, I think, in UK, know, when Margaret Thatcher, she was like restricting parties, So this movement, this culture came to continental Europe. There is a crew called Spiral Tribe. In the 80s, early 90s, they spread this culture all over Europe. And for the film, we were working with two crews that are like the kids of Spiral Tribe.
Second generation.
Exactly. It was important for me to shoot a real rave. I think the essence of the film is in these faces, They represent, I think, human beings.
Just for orientation purposes, they go into the desert. That's traditionally what they do.
Usually, ravers from all over Europe, they usually go to Morocco during the winter because it's cold in Europe. So you want to be in the sun. And they have an attraction to tradition and to different cultures. I mean, rave culture is not just about partying. It's also about traveling, So they are there, they fix their trucks, There are like 2-3 mechanicians in Morocco that they are used to work on these tracks since the 70s, since the hippie movement.
And this movie, I my understanding is kind of for you stemmed from being in the desert at one of these raves.
I mean, I was living in Tangiers, 5 years. That's where I made my first feature, All Captains. And I had these images of the desert, tracks like crossing the desert. And I really wanted to stay in Morocco and to go deep in this country, in this culture. So I had a call for the desert, to go to my limits, to go to this place. So I started to live on a palm grove in the door of the desert near Ouarzazate. And yes, I mean, it's a country that I know better than Spain, And the desert has something special, The desert takes from you, gives you, taking from you, I mean, it pushes you to your limits. The desert is a place where you cannot hide yourself, You are obliged to look inside. You are obliged to look to the sky, I mean, it's a special place.
And you're aware of your limits too.
I think art is about this. It's about going through your limits. And rave culture is this too. When we were shooting the rave, at some point, I mean, we had like 3 days rave, I mean, the deal was not, we couldn't stop the music. We didn't want it. We didn't want it to adapt reality to cinema. We wanted, as a filmmakers, to adapt ourselves to...
You're specifically talking about the opening 20 minutes of the movie, right? That opening rave.
Exactly. Yeah. So I remember that at some point we were too far filming them. They knew we were shooting. They allowed us to shoot this party. We were like negotiating for years, But at some point, I thought that we were like stealing their souls, And a girl told me, rave is about this, going through the limits. So don't worry, it's okay, it's fine.
Because basically, you did not want to stage something like this for your movie. You wanted to put on one of these, put on a rave, and then kind of, my understanding is 2 cameras. One just kind of picking up all the details of the rave, and then one, obviously, Lewis and his son, the kind of narrative part going through it.
Yeah, it was really stimulating. I really like this, when you provoke a reality and you surf the reality, and you are like, reality sometimes is bigger than you. It's I mean, in terms of cinematography, it is extremely stimulating. This, I mean, we are like fishermen that we've suddenly find a bunch of new fishes with different colors, different sizes, I mean, we like this. We like to dance with reality. Yeah,
it's funny. I read something in the press notes. You said something about you created a monster in the sense that your team is out constantly filming, picking everything, and eventually you thought it was too much and you went out and danced.
I mean, it was crazy, because, I mean, we were shooting the fiction for 1 day. So the second day I was partying.
Yeah.
And at some point I was partying. I was on the dance floor. It was the day, the beginning of the day. And suddenly I saw people with cameras. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And suddenly I said, oh, come on, it's my shoot. So, I mean, imagine I'm the filmmaker who is creating a reality to be shooted, but I start to be in the reality and I'm being shooted by the filmmaker, I mean, it was like crazy. I mean, I didn't want it to stop. We are junkies. We are junkies of images.
Right.
So it was weird, I had the impression that it was like artificial intelligence, when you build something that is bigger than you and okay, you can't stop it. I mean, making films is quite an erotical thing.
I want to drill down on something, specifically this kind of nomadic community. There's something about them in terms of characters, and obviously in contrast to Lewis. You were talking about the desert and awareness of limits. They seem to be awareness of their scars, their wounds. There seems to be something about them that you find.
I mean, I think they are like everybody. I mean, I think that all of us, in a way, we are broken. Right. But they show this. They express that their scars are visible, And I like this. I think it's a mature thing to accept your scars, to be connected with your wound, to dance your wound, to celebrate your wound, I like this sentence from St. Francis, as St. Francis says, the most graceful people are the disgraced ones, And Rumi, he wrote this poem. He was saying that the broken hearts are the most beautiful ones because they can allow light to go through the breaks. Can I say breaks? The breaks of the heart. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I always, when I make a film, I like shooting people that I think I'm separated from them, But at the end of the creative process, I'm discovering that I have a lot of things in common. Mm-hmm. In a way, I was sharing a lot of things with these ravers, and I think that the way we did the film was really, it's really punk. It's really radical. I think there is a radical coherence making this film. I mean, we were really jumping to the abyss. It's a really risky film.
After this opening rave, about 20 minutes in, there's the army shows up and closes it down, and we also hear on the radio clearly something's going on politically. It's interesting. I started racking my brain. I'm like, I wonder what conflict this is or where exactly I am. And because it feels very much like reality. And then I started to kind of, and I don't know, I started to realize maybe this isn't a specific conflict. This is something almost vague, right? Like it's supposed to almost remind us of all the different things going on in the world. It's not, or did I miss something? There is something historical here.
I mean, I think that making a film always is to find a balance between the intention of saying things and the volunteer of evoking things,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't like to put much intentions in things. I don't want to write too much, I want my image to be alive, Sometimes I think we put too much weight into the images, so they are dead, So, I mean, I thought that with 4 or 5 signs of this conflict, that, as you said, I mean, we are surrounded by it, I mean, it's not something that we need to understand much. I mean, we know how war it is, how fragile it is in terms of geopolitics, and so it was risky, because this is a film that dialogues a lot with American cinema, from the 70s genre cinema, I mean, it's an adventure film, but we are Europeans, we are Spaniards. I mean, we don't have the craft to do this kind of films, and we don't have the money, we don't have the experience. I mean, I never shoot a race with tracks. So the important thing was to find the way to dialogue with this imaginary, with this kind of films, but with our sensitivity on a sober way. But when you are sober, it's dangerous always, because it can be crap. I mean, spectators could tell me, no, it's not. I mean, if you want to evoke a conflict, you cannot do it with just 3-4 things. But I think it works. What do you think?
No, absolutely. Because I think what you're trying to do is tap in. I mean, I think it's a feeling that we all have right now. Like, in particular, probably more so than even when you were making this film. Things feel dangerous. Things feel like the world is teetering. And it feels like what you're doing is tapping into that for the audience and keeping it on the periphery. That's out in the world. That's going on, and it kind of tapping into what the audience is thinking. And that's kind of like kind of a hug around this movie with what's going on in the middle. So it has a presence.
I mean, we wanted to make a generational film. We wanted to obviously to connect with our generation, with our time, and so in a way you have to connect yourself with the pain that is on the world, but also with the fears that people has, with their dreams, Hopefully we did a film like Easy Rider on the 70s, like Two Lane Blacktop, like all these American movies from the 70s that I don't know what they talk about, but I feel the energy of this decade.
Yeah.
Of this society that was so polarized like nowadays. So with this violence, but also with this kind of new conscience, with also the use of psychedelics in therapies. It was an interesting time,
The film feels very treacherous in the sense, the story is treacherous, but also this terrain and all the windstorms and crossing the desert. You can't fake that stuff. I have to imagine, what was it like shooting this movie? Are you driving, because there's torrential rainstorms, there's windstorms. I don't know how you got those cars across the river.
Yeah.
But is this something where you're actually to some degree having to go in and experiencing these things?
Yeah, why do I shoot in the nature? I don't shoot in the nature because nature is beautiful and it's cool and look how it's nice, the landscape. No, I'm shooting in the nature because nature is manifesting. Nature is speaking, is testing us, is pushing us to our limits again. So, and in a way, nature is deciding the film you are doing, So I like to submit myself to this, and I'm looking for problems, obviously. But I can say that I'm a little bit more mature. It's my easiest film. You've watched my previous one.
Yes, Fire Will Come.
Fire Will Come. We were
by the way, which is
in
beautiful.
Real fires.
Fire Will Come is beautiful.
We were.
The nature's beautiful.
We were firefighters. We went to study to have to be firefighters to make this film. We were on real flames. So, in a way, Sirāt, it's. I jumped to the abyss, but I know there is a net, always. And yeah, storms, all this stuff. It's included on the film.
Did you kind of work that into the story, or did you kind of just roll with it as it came?
Do you mean if we were improvising?
Yeah, no. There's storms in this film. There's weather.
When these things were appearing, you always stop and you
recalibrate.
You change. Exactly. It's difficult to recalibrate when you are on a really technique shooting, with a lot of visual effects, it's like you are a big ship on the Panama Channel, you can't turn, but you always have the way to improvise and to, I like problems.
So let's talk about the music for a second, because this is such a big part of the journey. Obviously, to start with, rave music is it's part of the culture that is there, but it's very interesting what you do with the techno music here. And I wonder if you talk about what's his name, DJ
Candy Ray,
who I guess is a big DJ in Berlin, and people in that culture will certainly know him. But there's something interesting here. Obviously, it starts with techno and a rave. But what that turns into on the journey and the way music is used, I wonder if you talk a little bit about that.
Yes, the idea was this, to obviously, I'm a filmmaker who is on a pretentious way. Yeah. I'm looking for transcendence, that's what we like. That's what we want, to this kind of ecstatic rapture, when we are spectators, we want to dissolve ourselves. We want to escape from our brain. We want to watch films with our body. I think, in my case, and so yes, all my films. I think they are, in a way, they are like dissolving themselves. They are starting to. They become. I won't say abstract, but I mean, they are always like physical adventures that they are at the same time like metaphysical ones. So I think that electronic music, I mean, we usually think that sacred music is more related with classic music, but I think that electronic music, the fact that you don't know the origin of the sound, that is a pure vibration, you know, a synth is like vibration.
And you feel it, and to your point, you feel that way, you feel that in your chest and your body.
Exactly, and this abstraction, you know, the way that the you don't know the origin, you know, the source of these sounds, allows you to evoke the mystery of life, of universe, you know, and we were looking through this with Candy Ray, you know, to start with a more cathartical music, you know, that is like the techno, that is
dance,
and related with a lot of traditional folk music, like in my region, in Galicia, you know, that in a way is it's a trance music, you know. But slowly go through a more sacred, spiritual, ethereal music, you know, and a music that also was giving balance to the film. You know, it's painful, the film. I mean, it's sometimes it's hard to watch this film. So the music, in a way, was also giving us balance, giving us harmony, light. You know, I think it's important. I start to dance this film, you know. I was at the beginning of the creative process dancing the images. So the music it's on the origin of this film, you know. And when I write my scripts, I don't write like canonic scripts, you know, because I mean I'm a filmmaker of images, so my images tell things, a lot of things. So I don't need to develop much, you know, the traumas, the characters. So why do I need to say more about my characters if their silence, their gesture are evoking their scars, their souls, you know? So I get lost.
One of the most effective things is, I don't know what we're going to call them, these transitions, almost chapter breaks with the driving. Like usually a little piece of story happens and then we're back in you let a piece of music go, you let some sound go, we're driving. And those are really powerful moments that almost seem to like take you on the journey. Is those things that you kind of discovered along the way, or is that almost the structure of it, that there's these little interludes, these little musical moments of driving?
Most of them, they were written in the script, you know. As I say, the way I write is really atmospheric, and music is about atmosphere, you know. Obviously, when you are editing, you find new solutions. But for example, that scenes when we see, you know, we come from these images of the Mecca, you know, with all these pelerines, and after we start with the white lines of the, you know, the moment when they desert, you know, the tracks. It was on the script too, you know. We had 7 weeks to shoot this film, and I think it was quite precise execution of the script there.
Before we leave music and sound for a second, there's also an element of how sound works with this. Because it is this film. There is something transcendent about this film, and you feel it. And maybe it is all music, but there feels like there's something about. Nowadays, it's hard for me to figure out where sound design and music separate. But there's something, I don't know if you could talk a little bit about your use of sound and what you were doing in post-production with the kind of extending these feelings of the music.
All artistic languages are about proportions and geometry. So it's about sound, but obviously it's about images, you know. And I think that in my case, I think the key thing of Sirāt is that I had the strength to protect these images that I had when I was dancing in these dance floors 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you know. I mean, these images, when they go through the script writer process or pre-production process, sometimes filmmakers will put too much weight to these images. So at the end, they are death, these images, you know, because they are like instrumentalized to say things, you know. And an image, on a really subtle and a sacred way, evokes things. So I think that's the key of Sirāt, you know, that films, they are alive. The images are alive, you know. You have like the symbolism, you have like collective archetypes, and that's why a lot of all the spectators, they feel a different film, So I think that it's about this, as I always say, that filmmakers, we have to learn to stop at the right time, We have to trust on images, and we have to trust on the relation between an image and the spectator. And I think it's something that we do in a good way, We are like nutritionists, We know about this, Can I say nutritionist in English? Yes. I mean, we know that zinc with magnesium, with vitamin A, and that is good for the spectator. We know how it works with the body. We know, what I try always is to kind of make a KO to the brain, to this level of perception, in order that other level of perceptions, like the skin, like the body, like the tribes, like they can emerge. So this is I think is one of the particularities of Sirāt, that we oblige a spectator to watch the film with the skin, to watch the film with the ear. At some point, he has to surrender the spectators. Some of the spectators don't want to surrender. I understand, it's difficult to look inside, but this is the thing, At some point, what do you say, the fisherman, this line that has, when he fishes,
the fishing line.
The fishing line, you say. So at some point we cut this, and and the spectator has to submit himself to the film, to the images, to the current.
It feels like what you just described there, to a certain degree, also speaks to the Lewis character. There's a contrast. Like, he doesn't, if you were to compare him to this kind of nomadic tribe, he doesn't seem to have awareness of his wounds, of his scars.
Totally.
Just by the necessity of trying to find his daughter, he thrusts himself into this world and has to submit himself to his world. And there's something there about, I read somewhere that you'd said he's a character built for tragedy. I wonder if you could talk, because that viewpoint of him coming into this world and the journey of his story.
I don't remember to say this. Luis help us to. He's like the point of view of the spectators. He doesn't.
You are thinking about me, the Brooklyn dad.
Totally.
Coming into this world,
he's like a common and mundane guy. And I like this. And we are attached to him since the beginning, we feel identification to him. We feel a lot of empathy.
Everybody knows the dad that's looking for the daughter. Desperately looking for the kid.
And Sergio Lopez is doing an amazing job. He's really on the feelings, and it's really touchy. But as you said, it's broken. So, and this feeling is about this. Is about this community of broken people. This train. At the end of the film is. This human being are connected to this wound, and in this dimension, of the wound, we are all the same. There is no race, no gender, no social class, no flag, and I think the film is about this. The film was made also really connected with this pain that is on the world nowadays, all this pain that we have, all of us, and also the ancestral pain. So, so I think that Luis, I like that scene when he's dancing, in the desert, when he's praying with his body, when he's making this catharsis, when he's dancing his daughter. In a subtle way, some spectators say to me this, in a subtle way, he was never so near his daughter than at this moment. Yeah. He found her. On a spiritual way, he finds his daughter. He understands her. He is her.
You're talking about pain, and you're talking about a sense of this kind of end of the world feeling. I think it's about the halfway point with the van and the sun. It's a devastating moment. And I have to imagine that's almost by design, right there. This sense that this film's going to turn at that moment, right? Right at this point that he does dance. There's a beautiful scene with the candy bar. The son is starting to become a little bit more part of that community. He's starting to become part of their family.
Yeah.
Why specifically do that and at that point?
I wanted to make a film. I mean, we cannot. It's difficult to make archaeology, of your intentions, because I mean, a film is made of images, ideas, intentions. I mean, it's everything is mixed. In my case, my main goal was to make a spectator experiment his death. I wanted to. It's something I want to do myself. It's part of my practice to meditate death. I think it's healthy and something that we are not doing more. So we were looking how to do this in the middle of the film. We found this idea and that obviously I was afraid at the beginning. Because it's really painful and I don't want to make spectators suffer. I'm not a sadistic filmmaker, and I think that you feel this. You feel there is love. I mean, the way I shoot my characters. But it was the best way we found to take care of spectators. To shake him. Life never calls you to tell you. Next week be careful. You will have a test. So I think the film is about this, about how life doesn't give you what you are looking for. Life gives you what you need. And there is a difference, between one and the other. And human beings, we are there like all the time frustrating filmmakers, because we are attached to what we think we need, but we need another thing. And life knows this. And yes, I think that Luis, yes, he fall into a hell, but necessary, I think, I'm one of these people who has this heart certainty that there is not a leaf of any tree that doesn't move for a perfect reason, for a just and intelligent reason, so yes, I hope spectators will accept, this pain and they will look inside. That was the purpose also of making Sirāt.
What's the quote, the heaven and hell at the beginning?
Sirāt means in Arabic means the path, Sirāt al-Mustaqim, like the right path. But also it's the name of the bridge that go through paradise, and you have the hell in the bottom, and it says that it's like it's like a sword, it's like how do you say, thin?
A bridge,
it's
line.
Thin. It's not narrow. It's
thin, narrow, yeah, tight, yeah. Because I think it's funny as this film descends into some really dark, some really tough moments. And I'm listening to you. There's something here that you find hopeful, like driving towards light in this, and that seems to me, when I come back to that, it seems to be something. There's something about a connection, a bridge between heaven and hell that feels.
It's necessary. This is the mystery of life. It's through death when we communicate. We have a strong dialogue with life. When we feel more life. Look, when someone dies around you, you are sad. But at the same time, there is a kind of sweet, I won't say sweet, but you have the feeling that you are dialoguing with life, that life is asking you, who are you? Are you in the right path, in your path or not? It's a mystery. And I was obviously making a research about parents who lose their kids and I always remember these people that they were on a plane in Los Andes in the 70s. This plane that fall and they were like 2 months there, abandoned, and they start to eat the corpse of. And when you listen, when you read their diaries, they miss to be in the mountain. They miss this moment when they were never more alive than they were near the death,
An awareness of life.
Or look, the birth, the birth. When we listen a woman talking about this, they are like dying, but the level of transmission that they have, the knowledge, the wisdom that they have when they get birth, it's amazing, and so the film is about this. Obviously, in our society, we ask, why do we die? On a traditional society, you don't ask this. You die when you have to die, and it's written, and it's okay, and it has to be like this. The question in Sirāt is not what do my characters die. The question is how do they die. This is the question on a traditional, from a spiritual perspective. Are you gonna die with dignity or not? Are you gonna die with your values on the top of your higher than your ego or not? And this is what all the heroic tales, westerns talks about, all the adventure films or the hero it's going to have a grandiose death.
And that's what the end is about too.
They talk about this.
Because there's an element of watching each character walk forward potentially to their death, and in case it is, and that and you spend time with that. It feels like you wanted what you just said there. It makes a lot of sense because it feels like we're watching each of these people, what they're going to be like in this moment that they know that they're walking to their death.
One is dying dancing. Yeah. In rave culture, to die, having a heart attack in the dance floor, it is a mythologic death. Your soul is transcended.
In terms of that group, the nomadic group of 5, is that also you cast from these desert ravers, right? That's part of it, right? Is that there wasn't something you wanted to recreate that with costume and trained actors, right? I say this because you just made a connection between this theme of death and dance, and it feels like that had to be those people, and there had to be a certain authenticity to it.
I don't know. I like reality. I like people. I like this texture of real, and I think that the essence of the film is in different parts, but it's on their faces, we are portraying human being nowadays, Look at these images that we have in the rave at the beginning. You see a human being that wants to transcend itself, he wants to change, but he's not able to do it. He's a little bit lost, and I'm touched by this. Hopefully in 30 years we will see Sirāt and we will see us, and
well, I hope it's not quite the end of the world, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
There is no. I'm really optimistic. Believe me. I think it's like in the film. It's difficult for us to change as a society, but life will push us to a limit to an edge of that. Life will ask us what is to be a human being, and we will have to answer. We will have to be more human. So this is my hope, that.
I want to talk about, I'll just say this. Fire Will Come is one of the most beautiful films I've seen. Not just the story, but it's literally the images and their power, and the cinematography is incredible. I wanted to talk a little bit about, how do you pronounce your cinematographer's name for both of those films?
Mauro Erce.
He's back for this film and shooting on 16. And obviously this is from a cinematography standpoint, this is a very different film, a different texture. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you all approach this film, because it's beautiful in a different way.
So this is the third film that I do with Mauro Erce, and also with Santiago Fillol. I write scripts with him, and he's a filmmaker too. So since the beginning, the images are in our scripts. The ontology of cinema for us are images. And so when Mauro arrives, like months before, is when we try to imagine how are we going to shoot, how many shots, and he's great doing this, and I think we have a really similar sensitivity, when we talk about images, we talk about textures, about grain, about colors, and in a way, when you talk about music, it's the same, So the good thing also in this film is that we had the music already done before the shooting, and we had like 60% of the music. So Yes. For me, I mean, the key thing is to use the receipt, to use the story as a trampoline to feel better the images. Yeah. And at some point, the receipt has to touch the spectator on a way that the cognitive side, the mind side, will sleep a little bit, as happens in psychotherapy, you know? In order, as I say before, that other level of perceptions can emerge, and images can penetrate the spectator on a really deep way, when this is not like protecting the spectator, you know. And so with Mauro, I mean, the most important things is when we shoot, you know, the sand, the dust, you know, the trucks, these moments that apparently are not important, but these images are placed on the edit on a moment that we know that, bang, you know, it will go through your body and will stay there. Because, I mean, we have to make films, we have to make images that will stay with the spectator for long, you know. That's what, I mean, that is the power of images.
I don't like to dwell on format, but there does feel like something in the way the two of you work that is inseparable from 16 millimeter. I can't imagine this film is digital. Yeah. Same thing with Fire Will Come.
I mean, I started after leaving the university. I started to shoot with a Bolex and to develop the film in my toilet. You know, I mean, I'm a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. I'm chemistry. You know, I'm not pixels. You know, my body is not. So, if we want an image penetrates the spectator, I think that celluloid, silver, you know, is a noble material. Silver that is touched by light. I mean, this is alchemy. You know, obviously a digital image can penetrate the spectator, but not at the same level. And obviously, we are digitalizing the footage, you know, the celluloid. But yeah, it's for me, it's this. I mean, this is a red line. I only shot on film. I wanted to shoot it in 35. We wanted to do it also in CinemaScope, but finally we had no money for it.
At some point, the limits, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a remarkable film. Congratulations on it.
Thank you.
And thanks for talking about it.
Thank you very much.